All right, so as they say, thrice is the charm. So I guess all the systems started working the third time. First of all, thank you so much for this invite. It's really an honor and a pleasure to share the stage with such brilliant minds and people who've been close to my heart for many years. It was also wonderful hearing the other speakers give out such interesting insights. Today, my topic is diet psychology and behavior change, specifically addressing what dietitians can do or the strategies that they can employ to have a better outcome in their counseling sessions. Now, why is it important that we need to learn about diet psychology? We need to learn about how to impact a behavior change in patients so as to they better adhere to your diet suggestions and your wellness advice. It's as simple as this. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it to drink. Now that's a problem that we as nutritionists, dietitians, wellness advisors face with a lot of our patients, clients, because of course it's due to medical advice, it's due to family pressure, it's due to their own issues with health that they are compelled to visit a dietitian, and they want to go to a dietitian and see how it goes from there. But coming to a dietitian is not the answer. The answer is having them comply to your advice. Talking of diet psychology, it is basically the psychological aspects and factors which influence an individual's dietary choices, eating behaviors, and overall relations with food. What are the factors that affect diet psychology? Food preferences and cravings, what you're used to as a person, the foods that you like, the physiological cravings that you might have that translate into dietary cravings, your emotional eating, whether you are a mindful eater, whether you suffer from any eating disorders, whether you have a body image issue. Cognitive factors play a very crucial role in deciding how, when, what you would eat. Your social and environmental influences, and your personal nature as to whether you have a strong willpower, whether you are really motivated, and whether you have set a goal in your diet journey. What is behavior change? Now, behavior, we all know, is something that we exhibit to the outside world. Behavior is your response to a certain circumstance, a certain emotion, a certain person. Now, behavior change is the process by which individuals can model their actions, habits, or patterns in order to achieve a desired outcome or goal. Due to the paucity of time, I mean, there's so much to talk about, but we have a limited amount of time. So therefore, I would be concentrating on these three models of behavior change. The trans-theoretical model, the health belief model, and the social cognitive theory. Now, the TTM, also called the trans-theoretical model, is also known as the stages of change model. Now, this was developed many years back, but it's still relevant because it helps us, nutritional psychologists, psychiatric students, to guide the process of intentional behavior change. It can be used in health-related behaviors like, let's say, quitting smoking, adopting a healthier diet, or increasing physical activity. Now, these are all very, very common issues that we as dietitians in any setting, be it the hospital, be it the private clinic, be it a personalized nutrition counselor, we face every day. And therefore, for us to understand how to create a far greater impact through our counseling, in order to understand the psyche of the patient, becomes very important. The trans theoretical model, or the TTM, is comprised of these stages. First is pre-contemplation, wherein the person, the patient, actually is pre-contemplating or is pre-thinking whether they want to execute that change in their life, whether they want to make that meaningful change. The second is contemplation, thinking around the idea of approaching somebody in order to make that change. The third is preparation, wherein they are educated, wherein they approach somebody for guidance, wherein they are actually preparing to make that change in their behavior towards a healthier lifestyle, a healthier body, or changing a disease condition towards better. The fourth is action. Refer to the first slide wherein I said it's easy to take the horse to the water, but you can't make it to drink. This is the point where, through your understanding of diet psychology, you can make the horse drink water. And that is the action that I'm talking about. Once the action has been executed, it becomes kind of a routine, a habit. It is very important that you maintain that behavior change in your lifestyle. And at all of these stages, the action, the maintenance, the intervention of the dietitian is very important. And then we have to be very, very careful and cognizant of the fact that there might be chances of a relapse, wherein the client or the patient can go back to the pre-behavioral change stage. And again, it's back to square one. The second model that we should know about is the health belief model. It was also developed many, many years back, but is still relevant today. And this actually appears to the core of the client. And if you can understand where the thought process or the health belief of the client is coming from, you can effect a far greater change in the patient. Now, what is this health belief model? This underlines the fact that the patients or the clients they have an understanding, or they believe that they are susceptible to a particular health problem or condition. Second, you have them understand that the health problem might have serious consequences for their well-being, and therefore they need to execute the change. Taking a specific action will reduce the susceptibility, and the benefits of taking the action outweigh the costs or barriers associated with it. Now, this is kind of a motivational and inspirational model to effect change in your patient. You have to make them believe that the health problem that they have or might be predisposed to can be rectified, they can become well in if they follow your directions, if they take certain actions based on your advice. The third model is the social cognitive theory. Now, this is a broader framework, and it is based on the past experiences that the client or the patient has had in their social, environmental surroundings, how their thinking process has evolved given the various experiences they have gone through. And here, it becomes very important that we understand the concept of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the belief that a person has the capability, has the power to effect change. And us as dietitians have a very, very big responsibility to instill that confidence in our clients and patients. Because oftentimes, the patients that come to us, they have lost hope. They are in such a stage where they have tried everything and it's not working. So it's our responsibility to give them that faith in themselves that they can get better. And if the person or the client or the patient develops that high self-efficacy, there's a greater likelihood of them taking positive health actions. Now, this term is very important when it comes to acting around the psychology of patients. This is called reciprocal determinism. That a person's behavior is not permanent. It is ever changing. It is dynamic. And therefore, many factors play a role in how to effect positive change. And our intervention is very critical. Talking of your responsibility as a dietitian is to encourage the horse to drink the water. And how do we do that? You all are experienced dietitians. Many of you are still navigating your journey around dietetics. Many of you are looking forward to a career in effective change through your expertise. And this diet psychology will help you effect that change. But just how? Now, some points that we can keep in mind, and I'm sure you all are well versed with these, are on this slide. And many of you are using these in your day-to-day work. Some of them have been discussed by prior speakers. For example, assessing the patient's current behavior against the TTM model. Now, the TTM model had these 5 points: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and relapse. So you have to think by talking to the patient, by running an assessment as to which stage the patient is in. And your counseling should depend on the state of mind of the patient. Because if the patient, let's say, is already in the action stage and you are still talking about preparation, the patient will become impatient. They will say, why is she talking about preparation when I want to act? Why isn't she giving me action points? Why isn't she telling me what to do? Because I'm really charged. I am really in the state of mind where I want to make a change. On the flip side, if the client or the patient that comes to you is in the contemplation stage, that they are still unsure, they are still deciding whether this is the right approach to their getting better. And you start talking to them about action, boots on the ground, from tomorrow you have to just make these changes. From tomorrow you need to take 10,000 steps. It's a big mismatch and it will not work. No matter how great your diet plan is, no matter how great your intentions are, it will not work because your advice is not in sync with the patient's mindset. And therefore, this initial talking, assessment, interaction with the patient is very important, and understanding the stage the patient is in, and then making your advice. The second, individualized analysis, which we all do, you've all been doing. Avoiding the cookie cutter method, wherein not one diet plan works for everybody. We need to understand that. We need to educate them and stay informed. We need to treat the patient or the client not in isolation, but also looking at their social support system, their family, their friends, their co-workers, their colleagues. It's very important to celebrate small successes. So even if there's a marginal difference, a marginal change towards the better, you should celebrate it with your patient or client and inspire them, motivate them. Continuous follow-up and long-term maintenance. Most of these are some things that you've all been doing, that you continue to do. But the reason why I'm talking to you today is to discuss some often overlooked points that we should keep in mind in order to better understand our patient and better advise them. The first, which I also mentioned a bit in my previous slides, and something that we often overlook, is fostering self-efficacy. It is our job and our responsibility to empower our patients or clients. We need to build confidence in their ability to make the dietary changes. It's not about our competence. It's not about our ability to make a change in their lives, which we are doing. That's our job. We do it. But we need to instill in them that they can make the change. So you have to shift the ball. You know, the ball has to be in their court. And how you do that is you encourage them to self-monitor, to problem solve, and to build skills around a particular problem. You need to empower them and you need to give them tools to do that. The second very important aspect that diet psychology has to keep in mind is while you are interviewing your patient or client, while you are talking to them, you have to employ a technique which is called the motivational interviewing technique. Now, rather than just asking them pointed questions, what is your problem? What are your symptoms? What did you eat today? Show me your blood report. That's all relevant. We all need it. Physiology. And as the speaker before me emphasized the importance of the ABCD assessment, that's very, very important. I'm not saying that we should not focus on that. I mean, that is the basis, that's the science. But just relying on the physiological aspects might not give you the holistic approach. The psychological aspects also need to be kept in mind. And therefore, you have to explore why is the patient or the client visiting you? What motivates them? Are they ready for making the change? Evaluate them against the TTM model and see which stage they are in. Give them time to speak and express. I totally understand it's not always feasible. You don't have the time to, give one patient all the time they have. You have so many to deal with. But still, just try to listen actively, express empathy, and then together as a team, guide the patient towards setting their own goals. They should be the ones who should be giving you ideas as to how they can incorporate that change into their lifestyle, rather than you just telling them, do this, do this, do this. No one likes that. No one wants to be told all the time what to do. But if through your motivational interviewing, the desire or the change comes from them, they will do it. Just try it for once. Now, this is very important. You have to identify triggers and barriers. In behavior change, triggers and barriers are extremely important and critical, because in order for cultivating healthy habits or cultivating a lifestyle of change, we have to identify what makes the patient or client encouraged to do or make a change. What are the triggers? What makes them happy? What makes them want to do the change? And what are some barriers that stop them from making those changes? Once you identify your client against this perspective, you are in a better position to develop strategies. Now, this is a term that you must have come across many times over the course of the recent years. Everyone's talking about mindful eating. And I think we as Indians know mindful eating. We use our hands to eat, and there's been this whole science around when you use your hands, there's a better chance of you not overeating. You are better connected to food. It is our culture to sit together and eat rather than watching TV and eat. So all these techniques, all these traditional knowledges that have been passed down to us have to be educated to the client. The clients have to be taught about why it's important to pay close attention to the sensory experience of eating, wherein you enjoy what you're eating rather than just fill up your mouth and it's done. You have to enjoy the process of
Really
eating.
sorry to interrupt you, Avantina. Lovely session, but we're actually running out of time. So if you could
Sure,
just, light it up.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. The last is relapse prevention, wherein you need to develop a strategy so that the patient doesn't run into relapse. Uh, so this is the last slide, that the greatest wealth is health, and we need to emphasize the importance of this to our patients and clients and understand them better in order to effect change. That's it from me.